Operation Epic Fury.
President Trump just did something the foreign policy class swore could not be done. Force Iran into a deal, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, send oil prices lower, and turn a military showdown into a possible pocketbook win for American families. And that's the part the media don't want to admit, because the story is no longer just about warships, mines, missiles, or Geneva signatures. It's about your gas tank, your grocery bill, and your retirement account. The battlefield phase may be ending, but the real test is starting right now. Will Americans actually feel this Trump victory where it matters most? I'll tell you what makes this such a huge moment. See, the Trump administration is not treating this as some elite diplomatic trophy to hang on the wall in Brussels or Geneva. They're making a direct argument to the American people. Strength produced peace, and peace should produce lower prices. And that's the scoreboard now. Not press releases, not applause from pundits, not another paper agreement filled with loopholes like the Obama-era JCPOA. The White House is hammering 3 points again and again. The Strait of Hormuz is reopening. Iran is getting blocked from getting a nuclear weapon, and there will be no upfront giveaways. Verification, compliance, consequences. And that's the formula. Vice President J.D. Vance called it a big win, and he's right, because if shipping normalizes, oil keeps falling, and gas keeps easing, then this becomes something far bigger than a foreign policy success. It becomes a kitchen table success. And that's exactly why the usual establishment voices are already nervous. They know pocketbook wins are the ones that the voters remember. And on the subject of kitchen table wins, here's something that can save families real money right now. So pay attention to this, because if you or someone in your family is on Medicare, this directly affects your wallet. Medicare is confusing by design. The mailers, the robocalls, the fine print, the commercials, it's all built to keep you overwhelmed so you pick a plan and never look at it again. And that's the Medicare confusion industrial complex, and seniors are paying for it. Chapter, though, is simple by design. One call, one advisor. They look at your doctors, your prescriptions, and your needs, then help you compare plans clearly. Some people could save as much as $1,100 a year. So do not just assume your current plan is fine. Call Chapter, the number you see on the screen, at 910-728-4109 and see if better coverage or better value is available for you today. Now, back to the story, because the same fight over cost and common sense is exactly where President Trump is aiming this Iran breakthrough. Now, here's the twist. The media are barely acknowledging the administration is already preparing for the next attack line. They know critics will say, fine, but can Iran be trusted? Well, that's why every official is using the same word. Verification. Not trust. Not hope. Verification. No sanctions relief just for showing up. No pallets of cash. No blank check. Iran performs, then benefits follow. And while that debate heats up, something else is already happening in real time. Ships are moving, oil is reacting, and the economic phase of this Trump victory is already underway. As President Trump posted this to Truth Social, the deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines, let the oil flow. President Trump. So that Trump post blows the doors open. Hormuz reopened, blockade lifted. Now here's the field report on how Trump forced this deal across the line and got the ships moving again. President Trump unlocking the Strait of Hormuz, ships firing up the engines. After 100 days of war, President Trump delivered a historic peace deal with Iran. The commander-in-chief is telling trapped ships to start their engines. That's what he posted on Truth Social. The key realities on the ground: deep divisions inside Iran, moderates versus IRGC hardliners. They're pushing back. Iran did not get what they demanded. U.S. forces are staying in the region in Bahrain and Qatar. No sanctions relief until they comply. Strait of Hormuz stays open for free international shipping. Detailed work to deal with the buried, highly enriched uranium or the nuclear dust.
Oil to start flowing again, sending stocks soaring.
And we have team coverage for you this morning. We have Aisha Hasni. She is live in Geneva, Switzerland, with how this will impact the G7 summit. But first, we're going to start with Trey Yinks. He is live in Israel with the latest on this historic peace deal. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. After more than 100 days in a state of war, a deal has been reached between the United States and Iran. President Trump taking to Truth Social overnight saying, quote, "This great deal will bring peace and security to the whole region. Many presidents have tried to make peace with Iran and all have failed before me. The leaders of the region have, for the first time, found a president who can help them achieve real peace." With the opening of the strait upon the signing of the deal on Friday, for purposes of mine removal, oil will flow on both ends again for the region and the world. A signing ceremony is set to take place on Friday in Geneva, Switzerland. Before the deal was signed, it was nearly derailed. The Israelis targeted Hezbollah with strikes in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Iranian officials immediately vowed to respond with missile fire toward Israel. A diplomat with knowledge of the situation told Fox News that Qatari mediators stayed in Tehran conducting intensive negotiations coordinated with the United States. Vice President Vance described to Fox News what those final moments were like before the agreement was reached. Could you take us behind the scenes of what that moment was like leading up to this deal actually being signed?
After the Israelis struck Beirut, we were very worried, and we saw a lot of evidence that the Iranians were going to launch a large number of missiles at the Israelis. With our communication with them over the course of getting to this signed peace deal, they assured us that they were not going to respond to the Israelis, and they were going to sign this agreement and get to peace. Now, of course, you always have to verify these things, Trey, and we know that there are a lot of people in the Middle East who do not want to make this deal happen.
So the headline is set. Peace deal's done. Oil flowing. Markets cheering. Next, another look at Trump's announcement as Fox hammers home what this means on the ground right now. President Trump stuns the world.
Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and others to normalize ties with Israel in the aftermath of Operation Epic Fury. Because, again, the vision here for the president is a Middle East where there isn't a constant state of war, but rather opportunity and prosperity for countries across the region. And so it's a significant announcement. Certainly, there is still a lot of work to be done. There is a big difference between signing and implementing a deal. But this is a major first step toward peace in the region, and the president has gotten this deal across the finish line that will now immediately open the Strait of Hormuz, free those vessels that are currently trapped in the Persian Gulf, and now enter into these detailed negotiations on Iran's nuclear.
So the immediate movement in the Strait, major first step towards peace. Now the focus shifts to the G7, where even foreign leaders are scrambling to back Trump after the so-called experts said it could not be done. President Trump went to the G7. He left very early this morning, about 3 a.m. And in France, world leaders are stunned at his success. Here's some of the feedback.
More to come, but the president is coming here to the G7 with the wind at his back. All of the G7 leaders have now congratulated President Trump. They're welcoming news of this agreement. And Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni put out this statement immediately after this deal was announced overnight. She said, "We stand ready, together with our partners and without prejudice to the necessary authorization from Parliament, to contribute to an international naval presence to support the full reopening of the Strait of Hormuz." She also called for the hostilities to end in Lebanon. Now, remember, it was last G7 summit in Canada when the president left early. He left a day early amid tensions between Iran and Israel. And then he faced major pushback from the G7 leaders who have never supported strikes on Iran in this Iran conflict. They've been very frustrated with the closing of the strait, the rise in energy prices. So all of this now, as the president arrives here, it really sets up a really interesting political situation for him when he sees these leaders in person again. Now, the president took off from Joint Base Andrews overnight, headed here for Geneva en route to France, and there is a lot outside of Iran on the table as soon as he lands. We're told that he'll address economic growth, he'll talk about illegal immigration, and also artificial intelligence. Russia's war against Ukraine also top of mind. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky posted on X yesterday that he spoke with the president on his birthday, and he says the two will discuss more about the war at the summit. Security also is super high in the area around the Evian-Liban area. The French boat patrols are out. They can be seen on Lake Geneva. And we're hearing some 16,000 French police and troops have been deployed. Also over the weekend, shops and hotels were boarded up as protests were kicking off. And you'll remember it's been violent at these summits before, protesters smashing storefronts.
So Trump got the result. Now the allies are lining up behind it next. The comparison the media hates. The deal versus Obama's cash-first disaster. Here's the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations.
This is going to be, in terms of any unfrozen assets or sanctions relief, what's called pay for performance. There will not be upfront cash, so to speak, that we saw in the Obama deal and the JCPOA with literally pallets of cash because the Iranian banking system was dysfunctional being flown in. So that's an important difference. And then secondarily, this is all about verification. And there were huge gaps in the JCPOA and the Obama nuclear deal in terms of actually verifying what we know the Iranians have tended to cheat on in the past. There were not anytime, anywhere inspections of their facilities. The Iranians could delay things. They could choose which list of inspectors they accepted or not. And most importantly, Martha, the Iranians could classify sites as military sites that were then off limits. That's like having, a criminal on parole telling the parole officer, you can't check this bedroom or that bedroom, or you can only check the trunk of my car, and I'll dictate to you when you could come. So a lot of that is very much going to be worked out, but I can promise you that we are not going to have these massive loopholes, whether it's working with the UN's IAEA or other form of inspectors. This is all about verifications, and no one on this team is just going to take the Iranians at their word.
So that's the key difference. No pallets of cash, no blind trust, real verification. And while the swamp press fixates overseas, the next clip shows the payoff at home. American energy muscle is back in command. America crushed the world. It's historic. U.S. now has more oil than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined.
Blockade of the Strait of Hormuz in effect for nearly 2 hours now. A ship tracking firm reports 121 empty oil tankers are making their way to the United States of America.
So as ships reposition and American energy takes center stage, the panic over shortages starts to crack next. The number every family watches: gas prices. They've dropped worldwide.
Average for gas has dipped below $4 a gallon as road trip season heats up. Elizabeth Schulze is at a gas station in Washington, D.C. Good morning to you, Elizabeth.
Good morning to you, Robin. Oil prices are sharply lower this morning on news of that deal to reopen shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. And already we are seeing some relief here at the gas pump. The national average for a gallon of regular gas, now $3.99. It's the first time it's been below $4 since April. In about half of all states, mostly in the South and in the Midwest, gas is already below that $4 marker. So for perspective, the cost to fill up a mid-sized SUV like a Toyota Highlander, on average now $72. 1 month ago, it was $81, but before the war, it was $53. So we are still above that pre-war level. We have seen the U.S. and other countries dip into their oil stockpiles to try to alleviate prices, and the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve is actually now on track to reach its lowest level since 1983. It will take months to replenish those reserves, so the key for gas prices from here is how quickly we actually start to see tankers moving through the strait. If there are no clear signs that that oil is coming back onto the market, we could still see gas prices go up again this summer. Mike.
So there it is, lower prices at the pump, and the media's doomsday talk is already falling apart. Next, even Gary Cohn admits reopening the strait changes the psychology and keeps the prices heading down. Here he is on Face the Nation.
Should American consumers expect that the prices they're paying for their food and their gas and everything else is going to fall like a rock?
Well, it's not going to fall like a rock overnight. We're going to have to see exactly what happens in the straits. It was not clear how quickly they'll open. But as they do open, we will start getting a change in psychology. People will start thinking that prices are going down and they will continue to go down. When you're in an upward price environment, people tend to fill their tanks up early because they think the price is going to be higher next week, and they tend to not let their tanks go down. When you're in an environment when you think the price is going to get cheaper, people tend to drive their cars till they're almost empty because they think the longer I wait, the cheaper gas will be. So we're going to be in a psychological change when the straits open and as oil starts flowing out. We will start to see some impact. We've actually already seen some impact. You know, we're gas prices are, I won't say well, but they're 10% off their recent highs.
Yeah.
And if we open the straits, I think we'll continue to see these gas prices come down. But as you also point out, it's not just the price of gasoline. It's the price of groceries. The price of energy feeds through the entire economy. And it feeds through manufacturing. It feeds through delivery. It feeds through everything we consume as daily consumers.
And what you're talking about with prices, you're talking about the price at market. But for the price for consumers, if companies have already jacked up the price of food, are they really going to bring it back down?
Well, they will bring it back. The price of energy will come back down.
Yeah.
So the energy component will come back down. Whether actual food at the store will come back down, you know, it will take some time. There's always some pressure, and it takes a first mover to show some leadership. You know, we've seen prices go up, and then if someone wants to bring more and more retail traffic into their store, they tend to cut the price of a necessity good, and you as a consumer say, hey, that necessity good is cheaper at that store. I then go into that store, and the other store needs to match their price. So the open market will drive prices down over time.
So it's not just the MAGA talking point. Even the suits are conceding energy reliefs on the way. Meanwhile, Hakeem Jeffries gets cornered when he tries to rewrite the brutal price pain Americans live through under the Democrats. Good day, New York. Oh, yeah. Watch this.
Which is going to make their life
the gas
better.
prices were this high under Obama, too. So,
well, listen, no, I mean,
and Biden.
Well, I'm not.
Right, President Biden? Didn't we have gas prices at over $5?
No, well, there were gas prices in the immediate aftermath of
and I remember eggs were like $12 a dozen.
Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't defend the record because the record's awful. Higher gas, higher groceries, more pain. Next, J.D. Vance lays out why Trump calls this a big win for America.
Well, first of all, I do think it's a big moment for the United States of America, thanks, of course, to the president's leadership and the hard work of the entire team. Three things that I think are important for the American people just to appreciate about what this deal does for all of us as Americans. Number one, this is the immediate opening of the Straits of Hormuz and, of course, the lifting of the naval blockade that we've had on Iran along with it. The number two thing that it means is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, and not just pursue a nuclear weapon, but procure or try to buy a nuclear weapon as well. That's built into this agreement. And then the third thing is, and this only happens, to be clear, if Iran delivers on their promise. And so there's an approach here where we verify and where there are real benefits so long as Iran meets their end of the obligation. But if the Iranians comply with this deal, it is going to fundamentally transform the Middle East for the next 50 years. It's going to end the war. It's going to make the Middle East more investable. It's going to mean a lot of prosperity, lower energy prices for the American people. This region of the world has been a basket case for my entire life and longer than that. And what the president has really set us to do is to certainly eliminate the nuclear threat of Iran. That's done. But now possibly to build to a new era of Middle East prosperity and success, where it's not a region of the world where the United States has to worry about so much, but where, frankly, we can generate a lot of prosperity for the American people out of that region. That's a very, very big win, and it all happened because the president stuck with it.
So the deal does three things: reopens Hormuz, blocks Iran from getting the bomb, and drives down energy costs. Next, he goes further, takes aim at the fake reporting already spinning the agreement.
Yeah, Gail, as you know, sometimes with these agreements, there are some diplomatic protocols, some technical things to work out. But we plan to release the full text this week. We want the American people to see it. But we've also seen, of course, some misreporting about what's actually in the agreement. We've seen some accurate reporting about what's in the agreement. I think the most important thing for the American people to appreciate is that what this agreement does is really twofold. On the one hand, it ensures that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon while simultaneously opening the Strait of Hormuz. You already see oil prices from a high of $126 a barrel down to about $80 a barrel today. That's a lot of progress. But it also, Gail, fundamentally extends a hand to Iran and says, look, if you guys are willing to honor your obligations, if you're willing to allow real inspections of your nuclear program, then we will welcome you back into the world economy. I think what the president of the United States wants to do is turn over a leaf of 47 years of a failed relationship between the United States and Iran, but that requires requires the Iranians to actually honor their end of the bargain. So when people say that billions of dollars of assets will be released, that's not true. What is true is that Iran will have a much better and much more prosperous future if they meet the obligations they make in this agreement. We'll, of course, see. That's one of the things we're going to work out in the technical talks that will follow the official signing on Friday.
The official signing. That's the part the corporate press keeps mangling. No automatic giveaway, no free ride, and Iran has to comply. Next, Trump himself takes a victory lap as oil drops and stocks rip higher. Here he is at the G7 with Macron.
The strait is already partially opened. As you know, they're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found. But it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely opened. We got along very well with Iran. It's a different set of leaders. As you know, the first set is gone, the second set is gone, and we found the third set to be very smart, strong, very smart, but we ended up making a deal. I felt badly that we had to go back on the attack for 2 nights, and I thought a third, but we made it before that happened. But I think a lot of great things are going to happen in the Middle East right now, and very importantly, the oil is plummeting down, and the stock market is shooting up like a rocket today, like record kind of numbers. And the oil has taken its biggest plunge, and we're into the low numbers, not quite back yet, Kevin, to the extent, but we're getting close to the numbers we were before it all started. And the main thing is that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
So Trump says the strait is already opening, oil dropping, the market taking off. One more piece matters here. He makes clear sanctions relief is based on behavior and not blank checks.
Mr. President, does the deal involve any sanctions relief for Iran? When would that go into effect?
No, it doesn't. Well, they have to. It's really a behavioral thing. If they do what they're supposed to do, that starts taking effect.
So what does it all really mean? It means that President Trump is trying to do what weak leaders never could, turn military leverage into economic relief for the American people. The Strait of Hormuz was never just a narrow waterway story. It was always about energy, supply chains, inflation, and whether families get squeezed every time the Middle East catches fire. Trump's message is simple and powerful. America used strength to stop a larger war. Keep Iran away from a nuclear weapon, reopen global shipping, and push prices in the right direction. We're already seeing oil coming down, stocks shooting higher, and gas drop below $4 nationally. Will prices collapse overnight? No. But the direction matters, momentum matters, and if this continues, Trump will have done something Washington failures hate most: deliver results that people can actually see and feel. And that's why the story matters so much. More than just a ceremony in Geneva, the real judgment will happen at the pump, at the checkout line, and in America's investment accounts. If oil keeps flowing, if freight costs ease, if inflation cools, and if families get breathing room, then President Trump will have proven that America First strength is not just good strategy overseas, it's good economics here at home. Meanwhile, Democrats have no answer. Hakeem Jeffries was already getting shredded trying to dodge the ugly truth about gas prices under Obama and when Biden was president. The lefts can sneer all they want, but voters remember pain in their wallets, and they remember who fixed it. Now, the question is simple. Do you believe that this Trump deal will lead to lower gas prices and grocery costs for Americans? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. Share this with somebody who needs to see it. And if you want more unapologetic America First coverage, subscribe to Next News Network right now. But do what thousands of patriots have already done before you. They've texted the words raw feed to that number you see on your screen, 844-840-4963. We're bypassing the middleman, going direct to you, sending you the news and information that you need to make informed decisions. And make sure you celebrate these big wins with America 250 right here. Go to the merch shelf below this video or check out shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.